Okay, today we will continue cholinergic agonist. Okay, we have discussed the introduction or basic things related to this topic. So today we are going to discuss different drugs that can modify the effect of cholinergic receptors. These are the few terminologies that is from the Klutzing review. You should read these terminologies to understand this and to clear your concept. I'm not going in the detail because all of you have a Kurtzig review and you can read these terms from that book. So come forward. First we will discuss the classification of cholinergic agonist. As you all know that cholinergic agonists are classified into direct acting and indirect acting. And all of you must know the meaning of direct acting and indirect acting. Okay, all of you know, or is there a need to discuss further? I think it's very easy term, direct and indirect. Direct means the drug that directly activate or inhibit receptors, and indirect means the drug indirectly, without binding with the receptor, increase the effect of that hormone or neurotransmitters. Direct acting further divided into two groups. Okay, direct acting further divided into two groups, muscarinic and nicotinic. Muscarinic again divided into two groups, choline esters and alkaloids. Choline esters and alkaloids. Okay, choline esters are acetylcholine, bethanicol, carbachol, and methacholine. And in alkaloids, we have pilocarpine and muscarine. You must remember, from whole of this list, only two drugs can be used for the treatment of GIT and urinary tract um, paralysis. Number one is bethanicol from choline esters, while acetylcholine, as you know, acetylcholine is an experimental drug. It has a widespread effect in all over the autonomic nervous system. That's why acetylcholine is not used therapeutically. Remember, sometimes it is asked, what are the clinical uses of acetylcholine? And आप लोग समझते हो कि there must be some uses अगर पूछा हुआ है तो. लेकिन acetylcholine is the only experimental drug, and because of its widespread effect and because of its very short half-life, it never be used for the treatment of any condition. Carbachol and methanicol is also not using for the clinical indication. Only bethanicol is used from this group, from choline esters. And from alkaloids, only pilocarpine is used for glaucoma and for the dryness of the mouth. ठीक है, pilocarpine, because pilocarpine has a prominent effect on the salivary glands, ठीक है. So it will increase the release of secretion of saliva, so it can be used for the treatment of dryness of mouth, जिसको हम कहते हैं xerostomia. While bethanicol from the choline ester is only used for bladder atony and megacolon. In nicotinic receptor agonist, we have choline esters like acetylcholine and carbachol, and alkaloids like nicotine and lobeline. Okay? All of these nicotinic agonists has no important clinical use. Okay, nicotine is a drug of abuse. All of you know, it is abused in the form of smoking. Okay, and the smoking addiction is very common in our society and as well as in other part of the world. So these are the four drugs. The above two drugs are same, like acetylcholine and carbachol. Only two drugs are different from and the muscarinic receptor, if you have seen. Okay, acetylcholine and carbachol act on both receptor, nicotinic as well as on muscarinic receptor. Only bethanicol and methacholine is a pure muscarinic agonist. Clear? And these are the, you can easily remember muscarine in relation with the muscarinic receptor, or nicotine in relation with the nicotinic receptors. So I think it is not very difficult to remember the name of these drugs. And there is only few clinical uses of direct acting. If sometime it can be asked, write down the clinical uses of direct acting cholinergic agonist. then you just write it down. क्या लिखोगे आप लोग? Can you tell me? Can you write it down in the chat box? If anybody is asking that what are the clinical uses of direct acting cholinergic agonist? Hurry up, please, because the topic is very, yes, Yasmin, it is a but a experimental drug, which I'm just asking the clinical uses of cholinergic agonist, not about the acetylcholine. If anybody asks about the acetylcholine, then you can write it down. It is an experimental drug. But if anybody asks about the clinical uses of a cholinergic agonist, then it can be used in, but in reflex esophagitis it is not very commonly used. ठीक है? In reflex esophagitis it is not a first line drug. हाँ, बहुत नीचे जाके आप लिख सकते हो, but not in this उसमें ना. ठीक है? तो आप लोगों ने क्या लिखना है? Okay, vernicillin is a partial agonist. You can write it down. ठीक है? और it can be used in megacolon. It can be used in atonic bladder. It can be used in Sjogren's syndrome or dryness of the mouth, glaucoma. These are the clinical uses of cholinergic agonist. But you should never write down the myasthenia gravis and what? Only myasthenia gravis. I think it is a or Alzheimer's disease. ठीक है? ये दो condition है जिसमें ये कभी भी use नहीं होंगी. Clear? Other direct acting cholinergic agonist, you can cevimeline and varenicline. Cevimeline is a muscarinic agonist. आप उसका भी लिख सकते हो. It is also used in dryness of the mouth, and now the use it replaces the pilocarpine. अब जो है ना ये pilocarpine की जगह पर cevimeline use होना शुरू हो गई है. But because it has more prominent action. Vernicillin is a partial agonist. Someone asked last day that what is vernicillin? It is an ester or alkaloid. So vernicillin is a synthetic drug. It is not a ester. It is not a alkaloid. Ester or alkaloids जो होती हैं वो natural drugs जो भी होती हैं, ठीक है? So vernicillin is a synthetic drug and it acts as a partial agonist at nicotinic receptor. So it helps in quit the smoking. These and it can be asked in MCQs, or sometimes it can be asked what is the treatment of smoking cessation, which we will discuss later on. Now the second class is indirect acting. In indirect acting, as you all know, that we have two groups of drug, reversible and irreversible. In reversible, we have carbamates. And in carbamates, we have physostigmine, neostigmine, pridostigmine, rivastigmine, donepezil, and galantamine. ठीक है? Last three drugs, rivastigmine, donepezil, and galantamine. These three drugs are used for the treatment of Alzheimer's. ठीक है? किसमें use होती हैं? For the treat of Alzheimer's. Donepezil, galantamine, and rivastigmine. Above these two drugs, neostigmine and pridostigmine, these drugs can be used in myasthenia gravis. Myasthenia gravis, first line is pyridostigmine, okay? And second one will be neostigmine. Why not the neostigmine is used as a first line? But tacarine is from the reversible carbamates. Okay? Tacarine is included in this group. It is not written here because tacarine is obsolete. Okay, obsolete. Tacarine has a more adverse effect, so tacarine is not used nowadays for the treatment of Alzheimer's disease, and it is replaced by these drugs, rivastigmine, donepezil, and galantamine. And these three drugs are used for Alzheimer's disease, while neostigmine and pridostigmine is used for myasthenia gravis, in which first choice is pridostigmine because it has a long half-life. Comparatively, neostigmine, it has a 6-hour half-life, while neostigmine has only 4-hour half-life. Okay? But if a patient cannot take the pridostigmine, then the neostigmine can be given. But physostigmine is not used because myasthenia gravis is a disease of the muscles, or ठीक है, nicotinic receptors. And physostigmine has a widespread effect in the brain or in the periphery, and we can say it causes more adverse effects. So physostigmine is not used, it is only used for the treatment of overdosage or poisoning of tricyclic antidepressants और atropine, वो भी उस कंडीशन में जब पेशेंट की कंडीशन बहुत ज्यादा खराब हो, ठीक है. फाइसोस्टिग्मिन, क्योंकि फाइसोस्टिग्मिन के अपने बहुत ज्यादा एडवर्स इफेक्ट हैं, एंड फाइसोस्टिग्मिन हैज सेंट्रल एंड पेरिफेरल इफेक्ट्स. Okay, so physostigmine can be used for the treatment of tricyclic antidepressants and atropine, while neostigmine can be used for the poisoning of neuromuscular blockers, tuberculin. ठीक है, अगर न्यूरोमस्कुलर ब्लॉकर्स की ओवरडोजेज हो जाती है, और इवन आफ्टर यूजिंग दीज न्यूरोमस्कुलर ब्लॉकर इन द सर्जरी, neostigmine will use to reverse the skeletal muscle paralysis. हम देते हैं ना, जब कब सर्जरी करनी होती है हमें, तो हम स्केलेटल मसल रिलैक्सेंट्स यूज करते हैं टू रिलैक्स द स्केलेटल मसल्स एंड टू फैसिलिटेट द सर्जरी. उसके बाद हमें रैपिड एक्टिव चाहिए होते हैं मसल्स, देन वी हैव टू गिव द neostigmine टू रिवर्स दिस न्यूरोमस्कुलर पैरालिसिस. क्लियर? देन वी हैव alcohol, that is adrophonium, and you all know that adrophonium is only used for the diagnosis of myasthenia gravis, and it is used to differentiate between the myasthenia crisis and the cholinergic crisis. Adrophonium has a very short duration of action, 15 to 20 minutes. That's why it is used only for diagnostic purpose. Clear? Then we have, I think the name of these the groups are not very difficult to remember. Multiple time आपके repeat हुए, फिर भी अगर आप लोग उसके कोई mnemonics बनाना चाहते हो, तो it's on you now. You know that how to make the mnemonics. अगर वो बनते हैं तो आप उसके बना सकते हो. Then we have irreversible, and in irreversible we have a most important group that is responsible for most of the poisoning cases, that is organophosphates. Okay, organophosphates, and they are bind covalently with the acetylcholine esterase enzyme. So they have an irreversible action. And organophosphates are ecothiopate, isofluorophate, parathion, malathion. These are the few drugs that is very famous, and in which few drugs can be used in human, especially ecothiopate, isofluorophate भी use हो सकते थे, malathion भी as a scabicides use होती है, और आजकल permethrin use हो रही है. And the other organophosphates are the nerve gases like Suman, S-O-M-N, Suman, serine. These are the name of the nerve gases, and these nerve gases are used for in the warfare to paralyze the enemies. Organophosphate poisoning are very common. Now we come to the next slide. Okay. जो भी मेरे ख्याल में समरी थी पूरे इस चैप्टर की, वो हमने तकरीबन रिलेटेड टू ड्रग्स डिस्कस कर ली है. नाउ वी विल सी द मोर डिटेल ऑफ रिलेटेड टू दीज ड्रग्स. I'm not going in the detail because direct acting agonist is not very much important. As I told you that they are you just know the effects, pharmacological action of acetylcholine on different organ system, because sometimes it can be asked what is the effect of acetylcholine on the eye, on the cardiovascular system, gastrointestinal system. So you must know the pharmacological action of acetylcholine on different systems. And acetylcholine is a prototype drug, so you should know each and everything related to acetylcholine. अगर आपको acetylcholine आ गई, तो then there is it will not be difficult to differentiate the other drugs. Okay, so acetylcholine is a quaternary ammonium compound. It is a choline ester, and it is rapidly hydrolyzed by acetylcholine esterases. जो indirect acting drugs हैं, they are also called anticholine esterases. आपका कभी क्वेश्चन में लिखा हुआ आ जाता है कि समटाइम दे कैन बी आस्क्ड के राइट डाउन द इनडायरेक्ट एक्टिंग, समटाइम दे कैन बी आस्क्ड के राइट डाउन द एंटीकोलिनेस्टरेज। तो आप लोगों की कॉमन मिस्टेक क्या होती है इसमें, आप लोग समझते हो कि एंटीकोलिनर्जिक ड्रग्स पूछी हैं, क्योंकि आप सिर्फ ये देखते हो कि एंटी और कोलिन, आप आगे ये नहीं देखते कि कोलिनर्जिक लिखा हुआ है या कोलिन इस्ट्रेज लिखा हुआ है। थोड़ी सी ये 3-4 वर्ड्स की जो है वो चेंज से आपका क्वेश्चन बदल जाता है, और ये बहुत कॉमन मिस्टेक है। ये हमने एग्जाम में जब फाइनल आपके पेपर होते हैं उसमें भी जब मार्किंग करते हैं वहां पर भी देखी है और आपके टेस्ट में भी देखी। तो आप लोगों ने पूरा क्वेश्चन केयरफुली पढ़ना है। ये नहीं होगा कि समटाइम आप 2 लफ्ज पढ़ के या एक सरसरी नजर डाल के उसको अंडरस्टैंड कर लेते हो, बट समटाइम यू नीड केयरफुल रीडिंग टू अंडरस्टैंड द क्वेश्चन। सो मेरी एडवाइस है आप लोगों को कि क्वेश्चन जरूर आराम से पढ़ा करो, उसको अंडरस्टैंड किया करो, फिर आप उसको लिखना शुरू किया करो। मतलब समटाइम ये होता है कि आप लोगों को चीज आती है, आपको हर चीज इंफॉर्मेशन है, सारी नॉलेज है, लेकिन आप गलत करके आ जाते हो। क्यों? इसलिए कि आपने क्वेश्चन को सही तरह पढ़ा नहीं था। ठीक है, सो बी केयरफुल। Acetylcholine act on both muscarinic and nicotinic receptor. As you know that it acts on the autonomic ganglia, it activate the muscarinic receptors, it can activate the nicotinic receptor present on the neuromuscular end plate. So acetylcholine has a widespread effect. Quickly go through up ho jaye se. One thing you have to remember, then exogenous acetylcholine will not cross the blood-brain barrier because it is a quaternary amine. So exogenous acetylcholine will have no CNS effect. These are the normal CNS effect that is produced by the neurotransmitter that is released in the CNS. जो acetylcholine CNS में release होती है, ये उसके effects हैं, ठीक है? So it can causes, these are the normal physiological effect. I think all of you know about it. Acetylcholine is involved in the regulation of release of various neurotransmitters, norepinephrine, dopamine, serotonin, etc. और जो सिगरेट स्मोकिंग करते हैं उनको एडिक्शन क्यों होती है? बिकॉज जब वो निकोटीन लेते हैं तो निकोटीन इंक्रीजेस द रिलीज ऑफ डोपामीन एंड सेरोटोनिन, एंड पेशेंट फील रिलैक्स एंड मूड एलिवेट होता है उससे, तो उस वजह से वो जो है वो 12 लोग उसको छोड़ नहीं पाते। Clear? Then we come to the cardiovascular effect. It is important, and you all of you must know that acetylcholine has a negative effect because which receptor is there on the heart? Which receptor? M2 receptor is on the heart, and the effect of acetylcholine is inhibitory. It inhibits the M2 receptors. ठीक है, GI protein activate होती हैं, तो it has a negative chronotropic effect and negative inotropic effect. So it will also reduces the conduction velocity. Conduction velocity decrease करेगी तो क्या कर देगी? Refractive period को increase कर देगी। और ये सारी चीजें जो है ना, ये ऑपोजिट हैं एड्रेनर्जिक सिस्टम में। जब एपिनेफ्रिन या नॉन एपिनेफ्रिन हार्ट पर हम देंगे तो वो सारे इसके ऑपोजिट होगा। पॉजिटिव का क्रोनोट्रोपिक इफेक्ट, पॉजिटिव आइनोट्रोपिक इफेक्ट, कंडक्शन वेलोसिटी को डिक्रीज कर देंगे, रिफ्रैक्टिव पीरियड जो है वो रिड्यूस हो जाएगा। तो ये सारी जो भी 4 इसके हैं पैरामीटर्स, ये सब जो है वो रिवर्स हो जाएंगे। One thing you have to remember that the acetylcholine has prominent effect on the atria. It has very less effect on the ventricle. On the blood vessel, it causes the dilatation of the blood vessels. Dilatation of the blood vessel is not through the activation of M3 receptor, although M3 receptors are present in the blood vessels, but the activation of this receptor increases the release of nitric oxide, and nitric oxide further activate the guanylyl cyclase, increase cyclic JMP, and causes the relaxation of blood vessels. So the dilatation is induced by the release of nitrous oxide. Nitrous oxide को हम endothelium derived relaxing factor भी कहते हैं, and this effect requires the intact endothelium. ठीक है, अगर एंडोथीलियम डैमेज होगी लाइक इन एथेरोस्क्लेरोसिस और किसी और कंडीशन में, तो जो है वो डायलिटेशन नहीं होगी, और डायलिटेशन के बजाय कॉन्ट्रैक्शन होगी बिकॉज ऑफ M3 कैस्केड। GQ प्रोटीन एक्टिवेट होगी और उसके थ्रू जो है कॉन्ट्रैक्शन होगी। If the endothelium is not intact, because endothelium derived relaxing factor or release of nitrous oxide require healthy endothelium. I think it's clear now. Okay. Then GIT, all of you know that they increase the intestinal motility and the secretion of the intestinal glands and salivary glands, and causes the relaxation of the sphincter. So it helps in digestion and defecation. Digestion and defecation. Similarly, it also relaxes the sphincters and the trigone of urinary bladder and increase the tone of detrusor muscles. So it causes the urination or it causes the act of micturition. अब जो भी pharmacological action है as adverse effect यही extend हो जाएंगे. Normally it promote or facilitate the defecation, but excessive effect क्या होंगे? It causes diarrhea. ठीक है. और जेनेटो यूरिनरी सिस्टम पे क्या होगा? नॉर्मली इट हेल्प इन मिक्चुरेशन, बट इफ देयर इज एक्सेसिव इफेक्ट तो क्या होगा? देयर इज यूरिनेशन. सो जो भी इसके फार्माकोलॉजिकल नॉर्मल एक्शन है एक्सेसिव में वो एक्सटेंड हो जाएंगे, उसके एक्सेसिव वो हो जाएंगे तो वही एडवर्स इफेक्ट बन जाएंगे. लाइक नॉर्मली वो सलाइवरी सिक्रीशन को जो है वो कंट्रोल करता है, ठीक है, सलाइवा की सिक्रीशन को, लेकिन जब एक्सेसिव होगा तो क्या होगा? सैलिवेशन हो जाएगी. सिमिलरली इसी तरह से लैक्रिमल ग्लैंड की सिक्रीशन है, स्वेटिंग है. तो ये सारे आई थिंक इट्स नॉट वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू रिमेंबर द एडवर्स इफेक्ट ऑफ कोलिनर्जिक एगोनिस्ट. Clear? Pulmonary system, it causes the contraction of bronchial muscles and increase the secretion of bronchi. So it should never be given to the asthmatic patients. ये कॉन्ट्राइंडिकेशन भी आपने इसमें से ले ली है, ठीक है. और इसका एडवर्स इफेक्ट भी हो सकता है कि ब्रोंकोस्पैज्म. इट आल्सो इंक्रीज द रिलीज ऑफ कैटेकोलामीन फ्रॉम एड्रिनल मेडुला वाया द निकोटिनिक रिसेप्टर्स. इट इज ऑब्वियस. Another important effect of acetylcholine is on the eye. M3 receptors are present on two structures on the eye. Number one, ciliary muscles. Number two is the sphincter papillae. Constriction of ciliary muscle of the iris help in the accommodation for the near vision, while constriction of the sphincter papillae causes miosis. And these effects pull the angle of anterior chamber, pull the iris away from the angle of the anterior chamber and facilitate the drainage of aqueous humor. That's why it is given in for the treatment of glaucoma. Further हम इसको discuss करते हैं. It also increases the release of all exocrine glands. ठीक है, आप देख रहे हो sweat gland, salivary gland, lacrimal, nasopharyngeal secretions, etc. You can see here, this is a picture of the eye, and you have seen that this is the ciliary muscles. Okay, ciliary muscles, and this is the trabecular meshwork. Okay, when the ciliary muscles are contracted, it pulls the angle of the anterior chamber away from the trabecular meshwork. Trabecular meshwork is present at the base of the ciliary muscles, and then it facilitates the drainage of aqueous humor into the trabecular meshwork and through the canal of Schellham. This is a normal process. Because of this mechanism, these drugs can be used for the treatment of glaucoma. Otherwise, the definite treatment of glaucoma, especially close angle glaucoma, is surgery. Laser surgery आजकल चल रही है. Otherwise, we have some other drugs that can be used for the treatment of glaucoma, and you should know the list of the drug, because sometime it is asked कि write down the drugs used for the treatment of glaucoma. ठीक है, कुछ drugs इस picture में दी हुई हैं. You can see here, ठीक है, the drug that facilitate the reduces the aqueous humor inflow, beta blockers, alpha-2 adrenergic agonist like apraclonidine, carbonic anhydrase inhibitor acetazolamide, and then the pilocarpine, या जो है वो even ये physostigmine or neostigmine can be used. Then prostaglandin analog, latinoprost. Nowadays, latinoprost is commonly used for the treatment of glaucoma as compared to these drugs. Okay, latinoprost. So you should know the list of the drug that is used for the treatment of glaucoma. याद है आप लोगों को? मैं ख्याल मैंने बोल के आप लोगों को सुला दिया है. Are you listening me? उठने में टाइम लगता है, आई थिंक, है ना? टाइम कम है, अगर मैं आप लोगों से ज्यादा पूछना शुरू करूं तो फिर वो चीजें रह जाती हैं, कंप्लीट नहीं हो पाता टॉपिक। दैट्स व्हाई आई एम, लेकिन आप लोगों को आई थिंक नाउ इट्स वेरी इजी फॉर यू, आप लोगों को रिवाइज हो रहा है और आप लोगों को आइडिया होगा, आप सारी पढ़ चुके हैं फार्माकोलॉजी, नाउ इट्स इजी फॉर यू टू अंडरस्टैंड। ओके, गिव मी आंसर फॉर दिस। Yes, the neurotransmitter that is normally released at the SA node of, in response to increased blood pressure is acetylcholine. ठीक है, और अगर जो है वो अपोजिट होगा ये कि which neurotransmitter is normally released as at SA node in response to decreased blood pressure, तो वो norepinephrine या norepinephrine होगा। Okay, I think there is no need to go in the detail of this. All of you know that bethanicol has a prominent effect on the gastrointestinal tract and the urinary system. That's why it is used for the treatment of atonic bladder or megacolon or neurogenic bladder or neurogenic colon. But remember, if there is any obstruction in the tract of GIT tract or in the urinary tract, then this drug will aggravate the condition. So in case of obstruction, it will never be used bethanicol. Okay. Adverse effect of almost all drugs are same. It is very easy for you कि जितनी भी cholinergic drugs हैं, अगर आप उनके एक ही adverse effect लिख दोगे तो it is sufficient. सिर्फ आपको ये देखना है कि वो सेंट्रल उसके हैं या नहीं है, ठीक है, बल्कि सेंट्रल तो बहुत कम के ही होंगे, फाइजोस्टिग्मीन के ही होंगे, बाकी सबके पेरिफेरल ही हैं। सो इट इज वेरी इजी टू रिमेम्बर। एक और चीज जो हमने डिस्कस की थी कि पॉइजनिंग, टू टाइप्स ऑफ पॉइजनिंग कैन बी आस्क, ऑर्गेनोफॉस्फेट पॉइजनिंग और समटाइम मशरूम पॉइजनिंग कैन बी आस्क। ठीक है, मशरूम although these are it is very uncommon because mushroom is not very commonly taken by our society. Okay, so mushroom poisoning also has the same sign and symptoms like organophosphate poisoning, but the organophosphate poisoning is more severe than and it can be life threatening as compared to the mushroom poisoning, while mushroom poisoning is I think mild to moderate, not severe, and the treatment is also same, atropine, और मैंने कल आपको बता दिया था क्या डिफरेंस होगा अगर आप ट्रीटमेंट लिखते हो तो। If you have to write down the treatment of organophosphate poisoning, then you must write down, or it's good to write the different steps. Okay, you have to maintain the ABC, remove the clots, wash the skin, okay, and then atropine, and then if there is no aging, then give pralidoxime. Remember, pralidoxime is not a first line drug. ठीक है, अगर तो पेशेंट आ जाता है, क्योंकि it is very unlikely कि पेशेंट इतनी जल्दी हॉस्पिटल आ जाए और एजिंग ना हुई हो, ठीक है। सो एट्रोपिन इज यूजुअली यूज, प्रेलिडॉक्साइम कैन बी यूज, बट दोनों आप साथ लिख सकते हो, लेकिन अगर सिर्फ आप प्रेलिडॉक्साइम लिखोगे तो ये इट विल नॉट बी करेक्ट आंसर। And benzodiazepine can also be used, especially in organophosphate poisoning. Patient may have a convulsions or fits, तो उसमें आप वो भी लिखोगे, हम इसको फर्दर डिस्कस करते हैं। ठीक है, क्लियर हो गई आपको मशरूम पॉइजनिंग? Pilocarpine is a tertiary amine, and it has more effect on the eye or on the glands, exocrine glands. So this drug can be used for the treatment of glaucoma and can be used for xerostomia or Asher-Green syndrome. In both of these conditions, there is a dryness of the mouth. Okay. Sjogren syndrome में तो आपको पूरा वो है dry mouth, dry eyes and arthritis, while in xerostomia there is only dryness of the mouth, और ये oral spray में की फॉर्म में अवेलेबल है, स्प्रे फॉर्म में, और आप स्प्रे करते हो और they will increase the release of सिस्टमिक अगर देंगे तो इसके CNS इफेक्ट होंगे. यूजुअली इट इज यूज्ड टॉपिकली. क्लियर? These are the contraindication of cholinesterase. हाइपोटेंशन में नहीं देंगे इसको बिकॉज इट कैन रिड्यूस द ब्लड प्रेशर. एवी कंडक्शन डिफेक्ट में क्योंकि इट विल इंक्रीज द एवी कंडक्शन. एस्थमा में कोरोनरी इनसफिशिएंसी, पेप्टिक अल्सर, ऑर्गेनिक ऑब्स्ट्रक्शन ऑफ ब्लडर और GIT एटसेट्रा. निकोटिनिक इफेक्ट. निकोटिनिक इफेक्ट टाइम क्या हुआ है आपका? अच्छा, आपको पता है निकोटीन जो है वो इट एक्टिवेट ऑल द ऑटोनॉमिक गैंग्लिया, ठीक है, और इट कैन एक्टिवेट द muscles as well. So by activating all the autonomic ganglia, it can increase the cholinergic effect. It can also increase the adrenergic effect. On the other hand, it also causes the muscle paralysis, especially at higher doses. Normally नहीं, ठीक है. So अगर dominant effect जो है sympathetic innervation के क्या है, it causes vasoconstriction, ठीक है, और जो है वो ब्लड प्रेशर को इंक्रीज कर देगी. और पैरासिम्पैथेटिक डोमिनेंट कहाँ पर है? GI सिस्टम पे. सो इसकी मोटिलिटी और सिक्रीशंस को इंक्रीज कर देगी. और prolonged activation can cause muscle strain. The prolonged activation can cause muscle paralysis. Okay, this is the answer of the question that what are the drugs that used for smoking cessation. ठीक है, अगर तो पूछा जाता है आपसे कि what are the cholinergic drugs that are used for the treatment of smoking cessation, then you have to write down the nicotine, especially in the form of gum, transdermal patch, nasal spray and inhaler, and vernicillin, that is a partial agonist at nicotinic receptor that partially activate and reduces the craving for nicotine and reduces the withdrawal symptoms. Another drug can be used for the treatment of smoking cessation. Can you tell me? Another drug belongs to the central nervous system, can also be used for the treatment of smoking cessation. Bupropion. Very good, Shazmeen. Clonidine beta likhi hui hai, but clonidine is not used practically. Bupropion. Bupropion is a drug that can be used for the treatment of. तो अगर आपसे जनरल पूछी जाए ट्रीटमेंट, तो देन यू कैन राइट डाउन द bupropion also, propion, ठीक है. और अगर आपसे पूछा जाता है कि व्हाट आर द कोलिनर्जिक ड्रग्स आर यूज्ड फॉर द स्मोकिंग सेसेशन, देन उसमें आपने सिर्फ निकोटीन और वर्निसिलिन लिखना है, ठीक है. क्लियर है आप लोगों को? ये रिवीजन क्लासेस आप लोगों की प्रैक्टिस भी है. जो भी हिंट्स आपको मिलती हैं आप लोग उसको सुना करो और उसको नोट डाउन कर लिया करो और पेपर को वैसे ही अटेम्प्ट करो, ठीक है. Acute nicotinic poisoning is very less common, ठीक है. Acute nicotinic poisoning क्योंकि अगर बच्चों में हो सकती है कि वो जो है वो टोबैको को च्यू कर लें, लेकिन होता है क्या कि वॉमिटिंग हो जाती है, ज्यादातर जो है वो निकल जाता है और बहुत कम होती है. अदरवाइज निकोटिनिक पॉइजनिंग में भी हम जो है वो कन्वर्जन्स हो सकती हैं, तो हम बेंजोडाइजिपीन्स हम उसमें देंगे. मस्करैनिक इफेक्ट्स को कम करने के लिए हम एट्रोपिन देंगे. इस तरह से इसको हम ट्रीट करते हैं, ठीक है. Okay, now we come to the indirect acting. We have discussed names. All of you know the mechanism of action. Acetylcholine esterase enzyme is used to metabolize or hydrolyze the acetylcholine in the synaptic cleft. Okay, so these are the group of drugs that bind with the acetylcholine esterase enzyme and prevent the binding of acetylcholine. So when acetylcholine will not bind with the acetylcholine esterase enzyme, it will not be hydrolyzed and it remains intact and active in the synaptic cleft. Clear? because sometimes it can be asked, okay, well, write down the mechanism of action of acetylcholine esterase inhibitor, neostigmine, या जो है वो indirect acting drugs. किसी तरह से भी इनका mechanism पूछा जा सकता है. You have to answer it that it will bind with the active site on the acetylcholine esterase enzyme and prevent the binding of acetylcholine. So acetylcholine remains in the synaptic cleft and continuously activate the postsynaptic receptors. Okay. Okay. This is these are the mechanisms of all the acetylcholine and all the other drugs like carbamates and phosphates. acetylcholine का mechanism इसलिए आपको बता रहे हैं ताकि आपको बाकियों को understand करने में easy हो जाए. So acetylcholine जब release होगी तो it will bind with the जो भी postsynaptic receptor and then also bind with acetylcholine esterase enzyme and hydrolyze acetylate. Sorry, first two steps में होंगे. First acetylated with this enzyme, ठीक है, and then it is hydrolyzed very quickly. Acetylcholine is very quickly hydrolyzed and acetic acid will be separated and enzyme will be separated, and this reaction occurred in milliseconds, microseconds, okay, very fast. That's why acetylcholine has a very short half-life, very short half-life. While when carbamyl inhibitors या carbamates, neostigmine, physostigmine ये bind होंगी उसके साथ acetylcholine esterase के साथ, तो first reaction will be there is carbamylation of the enzyme, ठीक है, carbamylation of the enzyme and they will bind strongly with the acetylcholine esterase enzyme. Then it is slowly hydrolyzed. And hydrolysis can require within few minutes. Atrophonium distillata few minutes to few hours. Slowly hydrolyzed, very slowly as compared to acetylcholine, and requires minutes to hour. Slowly hydrolyzed. Okay, and okay. So this is the you can read from here. That's why it is reversible. Then we come to the organophosphate. Initial step was the same. Then it is acetylated, phosphorylated when it is bind with the acetylcholine esterase enzyme. First it is phosphorylated. Okay, the enzyme is phosphorylated, and then it is hydrolyzed. But this reaction is very slow, and it requires even days. And before that the enzyme and drug complex undergo the process of aging, ठीक है. And hydrogen phosphate bond you have seen here, hydrogen phosphate bond will be break, and alkyl group will be separated from this enzyme, and then enzyme this combination combination of enzyme and the drug is more strong. ठीक है, पहले भी ये strong था, but after removal of hydrogen oxygen bond from the phosphate bond, or removal of alkyl group, this is also called the alkyl group, make it more strong. ठीक है, जो bond है enzyme और drug के अंदर, वो bond जो है वो it will be more stronger after removal of this group, and it will be now irreversible. And the new enzyme is required to reverse the effect of this group of drug. Clear है आपको? Is it clear? First, the enzyme, the organophosphate bind with the acetylcholine esterase enzyme and phosphorylated. After that, it goes to the hydrolysis process, but it is very low. And in between this process, there is a aging. ठीक है, जब aging हो जाती है तो enzyme will drug this complex will not be hydrolyzed. वो hydrolyzed नहीं होगा. And aging में क्या होता है कि alkyl group will be separated, and this separation makes the bonding of drug and the enzyme more stronger. Clear? Sometimes it is asked, okay, what is aging? So aging is the removal of alkyl group from the phosphorylated acetylcholine esterase enzyme. ठीक है, and this removal make it irreversible and more stronger. Now the physostigmine. Physostigmine, as I told you, that it has central as well as peripheral effect, and it has more widespread and severe effect. That's why physostigmine is not used for any clinical use except for poisoning. It can be used. ये आपको जो uses लिखे हुए नजर आ रहे हैं, these are the possible uses जिसमें वो use हो सकती है, but ये use नहीं होती है. It only used in overdose of atropine and tricyclic antidepressant and phenothiazine. Clear? If it is needed, not in the mild cases, because इसके अपने adverse effects ज़्यादा हैं. Clear? You can see here. Then neostigmine is a quaternary amine, so it cannot cross the blood-brain barrier. So neostigmine can be used as a second-line drug. Neostigmine, okay, in myasthenia gravis, it can be used in urinary retention and paralytic ileus, and it will be an antidote for neuromuscular paralysis. ठीक है, and tuberculin जो है का नाम इसलिए दिया जाता है because tuberculin is a prototype drug in the neuromuscular blockers. That's why tuberculin is given here. So neostigmine can be used as an antidote. और physostigmine नहीं use होगी because physostigmine क्यों नहीं use होगी? Sometimes it can be asked why physostigmine is not used as an antidote for neuromuscular paralysis. तो उसका reason क्या है? Yet give the rationale for the use of neostigmine. तो उसका rationale यही है कि tuberculin neuromuscular blockers जो भी हैं, they act on the periphery. They have no central effect, and neostigmine also have no central effect, so it will reduces the or recover the paralysis caused by the tuberculin. Now myasthenia gravis, we have discussed almost कि adrophonium क्या है. It will differentiate between myasthenia gravis. Myasthenia gravis को diagnose करेगी number 1, and then it will differentiate between myasthenia gravis and cholinergic crisis. अब मुझे आपको बताओ, आप लोग मुझे बताओ कि आपको क्या चीज समझ में नहीं आई है. myasthenia gravis का diagnosis is very simple. ठीक है, small amount is given by the in the form of parenteral route, and if because muscle weakness can be caused by some different diseases. ठीक है, muscle weakness can be a symptom of different neurological, and we have to differentiate to give the specific treatment कि ये myasthenia की वजह से है या किसी और reason की वजह से है. तो adrophonium क्या करेगा? It will improve the muscle strength. If it will improve the muscle strength, it means it is because of the myasthenia gravis normally. And second one, differentiate between myasthenia gravis from the cholinergic crisis. आपको पता है कि continuous activation of nicotinic receptor at the neuromuscular end plate will causes the muscle paralysis, like succinylcholine. सक्सिनाइलकोलिन का मैकेनिज्म यही है ना कि वो डीपोलराइजिंग ब्लॉक कर देती है, कंटिन्यूअसली उसको एक्टिवेट करती है, तो देयर इज अ डीपोलराइजिंग ब्लॉक. सिमिलरली अगर हम डायग्नोसिस इज फॉर द न्यू केसेस, diagnosis for the new cases, and differentiation between myasthenia gravis and cholinergic crisis for those patients who are already taking the treatment for myasthenia gravis. उनको आपने जो है वो neostigmine या pridostigmine दी हुई है ट्रीटमेंट के लिए, but again they came with the complaint of muscle weakness. Now you have to differentiate कि either this muscle weakness is because of myasthenia gravis, यानी low dose कि आपने प्रॉपर उसको डोज नहीं दी है और उसकी वजह से उसके सिम्टम इंप्रूव नहीं हुए, या इट इज बिकॉज ऑफ द हायर डोजेस. बिकॉज क्या होगा, हायर डोजेस पे भी वो मसल वीकनेस कर देगा बिकॉज ऑफ डीपोलराइजिंग ब्लॉक. That's why if you give adrophonium in that case, तो अगर तो मसल इम्प्रूवमेंट मसल वीकनेस इम्प्रूव होगी, इट मीन्स कि आपने जो डोज दी है नियोस्टिग्मीन की या प्राइडोस्टिग्मीन की, it is less and you have to increase the dose. Or agar if it is because of if the muscle weakness is not improved and rather it is aggravated, then it means that it is because of cholinergic crisis and you have to reduce the dose of the neostigmine or pridostigmine. Is it clear now? Please write it down in the chat box so I know about it. Is there any confusion regarding this? Because it is very commonly asked in the Viva, in the MCQs, or it can be asked in SCQs. So if you have any confusion, you can clear now. Okay. This slide shows the treatment of whole treatment of myasthenia gravis, in which we have anticholinesterase drugs, and anticholinesterase drugs are used for ocular myasthenia gravis. If the symptoms of myasthenia confined to the eye, okay, eye or small muscles of the throat, then you can give the anticholinesterase. But if the disease is more advanced, then you have to give immunosuppressants like corticosteroids, cyclosporin, and azathioprine. You can take the picture of this slide. Okay, the next option can be a thymectomy, because antibodies are produced from the thymus. So sometimes thymus can be removed to treat this condition. And lastly, immunoglobulin can be used, or plasmapheresis. In advanced cases, plasmapheresis or immunoglobulin can be used. ले ली आप लोगों ने पिक इसकी? Now you have seen the drugs for Alzheimer's disease. Tacarine इसमें लिखी भी है, but last में है because it is not used nowadays. आपको ये पता है. I think there is no need to waste time on this slide. Now we have an indirect acting irreversible drugs. आपको पता है कि organophosphate compounds are highly lipid soluble. They can cross the membrane. They can absorb from the skin. They can absorb from the eyes. They can absorb from everywhere of our body. That's why it can be dangerous. Usually, the organophosphate poisoning can be क्रॉनिक के वो स्लोली जो है उसको करते रहे कि डेली अगर आप उससे एक्सपोज हो रहे हो तो आहिस्ता आहिस्ता भी सिम्टम्स कर सकती है. बट द मोस्ट कॉमन एंड डेंजरस फॉर्म इज द एक्यूट पॉइजनिंग. एंड यूजुअली जो भी अगर आपका इसको सिनेरियो होगा तो उसमें फार्मर या एग्रीकल्चरल या पेस्टिसाइड, इन चीजों का जिक्र जरूर होगा. ठीक है. Ecothiophat can be used in eye for the treatment of glaucoma. Only this drug, ठीक है. Glaucoma it can be used in glaucoma. Ecothiophat. Well, malathion can be used as a pediculosis or scabies. लेकिन आजकल वो भी दूसरी आ रही है nerve toxin, that is permethrin. Permethrin के नाम से permethrin नाम नहीं है. It is a generic name. Permethrin जो भी scabies के लिए आ रही है या pediculosis के लिए आ रही है. So these are the uses. I think there is no need to discuss more. This is the mnemonic for organophosphate poisoning, DUMBLES. ये आप लोगों को सबको याद होना चाहिए. अगर मशरूम पॉइजनिंग आती है तब भी आप ये लिख सकते हो. अगर ऑर्गेनोफॉस्फेट पॉइजनिंग आती है तब भी आप लिख सकते हो. अगर एडवर्स इफेक्ट पूछे जाते हैं आपसे इस सिस्टम के तो भी आप ये सारे लिख सकते हो. ठीक है. डायरिया, यूरिनेशन, मियोसिस, ब्रोंकोस्पेज्म, लैक्रिमेशन, एक्साइटेशन, स्वेटिंग, सैलिवेशन, एटसेट्रा. आई थिंक दीज एडवर्स इफेक्ट्स आर नॉट न्यू फॉर यू. ठीक है. कन्वर्जन्स, अगर आप वैसे लिखना चाहो तो इट कैन कॉज कन्वर्जन्स. ठीक है. तो कन्वर्जन को आप ऐड कर सकते हो. सीजर्स या कन्वर्जन. ट्रीटमेंट क्या है? as I told you further before that, maintain the vital sign, especially the respiration. Decontamination to prevent further absorption. Decontamination by the removing the cloth, by washing the skin. Atropine, then atropine parenterally in large doses. Then pralidoxime before aging. Okay. The aging time is different for all organophosphate compound. Some drugs having a very quick aging, like especially nerve gases have a very quick aging, like in 10 minutes or before that. or some compound has a very long time for aging. तो it depends कि कौन से compound use हुआ है उसके accordingly जो है use होगी, but you can write down the pyridoxine. Then I told you that convulsion is also common, so benzodiazepine, diazepam especially, benzodiazepine लिखते हैं या diazepam is also used, can be used for the treatment of CAS. So this is the protocol for the treatment of organophosphate poisoning. आप स्नैप्स की लेना चाहते हो तो आप ले लो, स्नैपशॉट ले लो, अगर आपके पास लिखा हुआ है आपको पता है तो it's okay. And now time is going to the end, so if you want to ask any question you can write it down in the chat box, because I think the next slide is the last slide. Now the prevention soldiers against chemical warfare. Okay, so they should have 2 injection, pyridostigmine and atropine, auto injections. कौन से pyridostigmine and atropine हम इसको डिस्कस कर चुके हैं. Atropine after the spray of nerve gases and pyridostigmine before the spray of nerve gases. What you want to repeat from the myasthenia gravis? देखो myasthenia gravis क्या है? It is an autoimmune disease. ठीक है, it is an autoimmune disease in which the antibodies are formed against the nicotinic receptors. जो न्यूरोमस्कुलर एंड प्लेट पर हैं, NM रिसेप्टर्स हैं, उनके अगेंस्ट एंटीबॉडीज फॉर्म होती हैं, उनको डिस्ट्रॉय कर देती हैं. आर पेशेंट हैविंग अ मसल वीकनेस. स्टार्ट कहाँ से होता है? यूजुअली स्मॉल मसल से, और आई सिम्टम्स पहले आते हैं. अगर आपने तस्वीर देखी होगी तो आपने देखा होगा पेशेंट इज शोइंग डिप्लोपिया टोसिस. ठीक है, तो जो है और the drugs that are used for the treatment of myasthenia is the anticholinesterase. जो direct acting cholinergic drugs हैं, they never be used for the treatment of myasthenia. Okay, androphonium is a drug that is used for the treatment of diagnosis, number 1. Then it will differentiate between the myasthenia crisis and the cholinergic crisis. मैंने आप लोगों को बताया था कि माइस्थेनिया क्राइसिस में भी मसल वीकनेस होती है, ठीक है, और कॉलिनर्जिक क्राइसिस. अच्छा, ये डिफरेंशिएशन हम उस वक्त करते हैं जब एक पेशेंट को आपने डायग्नोज कर चुके हो और उसको आप ड्रग दे रहे हो. नाउ पेशेंट अगेन केम टू यू विद द कंप्लेन ऑफ नर्व वीकनेस, मसल वीकनेस. तो आप कैसे उसको अंडरस्टैंड करोगे कि इट इज बिकॉज ऑफ द माइस्थेनिया ग्रेविस, यानी इसको हम लो डोज दे रहे हैं और उसने प्रॉपरली ट्रीट नहीं किया है माइस्थेनिया को, या ये ओवरडोज की वजह से है. बिकॉज कोलिनर्जिक एक्सेस जो है दैट इज आल्सो कॉजेज मसल वीकनेस. ठीक है, बिकॉज ऑफ डिपोलराइजिंग ब्लॉक. आपको याद होगा सक्सिनाइल कोलिन का अगर आप लोग एग्जांपल लो तो इट कॉजेज द डिपोलराइजिंग ब्लॉक. सो कोलिनर्जिक क्राइसिस कैन आल्सो कॉजेज मसल वीकनेस. अब पेशेंट आपके पास मसल वीकनेस के पास साथ आया है एंड यू हैव टू डायग्नोज के आइदर इट इज बिकॉज ऑफ द लो डोजेस और बिकॉज ऑफ द एक्सेसिव डोज. Then you have to give the small dose of atroponium, and if the muscle weakness is improved by atroponium, it means के the dose जो आपने उसको दी है it is insufficient and you have to increase the dose. But if the administration of atroponium aggravate the muscle weakness or not improve the muscle weakness, it means के the dose of the indirect acting drugs are more and you have to decrease the dose. So ये आपको differentiate करवाती है between the myasthenia crisis and cholinergic crisis. Clear, Fajar? Now it's clear. Anything else? Anything else? Okay. So, okay, good luck. Inshallah, we will meet again with new topic, with new revision topic. Inshallah, next week. Till then, Allah Hafiz.